ESPN FC live on a Sunday. Liverpool 0, Manchester United 0. Mark Donaldson, Stevie Nicol, Luis Miguel Echegaray, and joined shortly live from Anfield by Mark Ogden. So, Stevie Nicol, I'm not sure if you've been naughty or nice this year, but if you've been naughty, then I think you should get a VHS or a DVD of this game for Christmas. That was not good. Is it a better point for Manchester United?
Oh, my goodness, coming into this game, there was nobody outside Old Trafford who were giving Manchester United a chance, including the three of us. So I think frustrating is the only way to sum this up, certainly from a Liverpool side, from a Liverpool point of view. You know, you talk about getting from back middle to front, but then once you get to the front, you know, your players have to produce, and there's not a front player for Liverpool today who was anywhere close to what they're capable of. I mean, there's not a chance in the game where Liverpool should score. Little bits and bobs, little strikes. Goalie's made a couple of decent saves. All of them you expect them to make, but for the domination, for the possession, and for the amount of time they spent in the final third in and around the penalty box, nothing. I mean, really nothing. I mean, a side that were averaging pretty much 3 goals a game at Anfield. Going forward, absolutely blunt. And the truth of the matter is, the best chance of the game went to Manchester United. Yeah. And Højlund just showing a little bit of inexperience, a lack of composure. Good goalkeeping from Alisson. Stays strong, stays big, but truth is, again, even that hits him straight in the Superman spot, because Højlund just goes for power and doesn't pick his spot. So yeah, a very frustrating afternoon.
Clearly some Liverpool fans in your house as well, by the sounds of things in the background. LME, as much as Liverpool were poor, Manchester United were good today. They were good at stopping Liverpool doing what they are good at. How did United do that today?
I think they just frustrated the hell out of Liverpool today. 34 shots, and like Stevie Nicol said, not one of them really seemed legitimate. And I think sometimes the best way to stop an avalanche, which is what happened last season, right, when Liverpool just destroyed them 7-0, I think Erik ten Hag was, look, the best way to get something out of this match is to make sure that we annihilate anything good that they're good at. Mohamed Salah, don't make sure that he doesn't get a rhythm. He didn't. Trent Alexander-Arnold, make sure that he gets frustrated. He did. Try and make sure that at the very least, the only people that are getting anything out of anything are the players that are least reliant on. Endo had a very good game, but it doesn't mean anything when you can't produce the likes of Darwin Núñez going somewhere, or, you know, any kind of possible attacking force going. And I think that's what United did today. Let's just stick together. Let's frustrate. I mean, it's not like they played a good game themselves. This was a horrible match. You know, this is basically like that episode in Seinfeld when Elaine can't understand why everybody likes the English patient. Like, I don't understand why everybody always goes on about Liverpool United. Almost always it's just a terrible match. And that's what happened today. And I think that Manchester United will get out of Anfield today and be like, we got a point out of that, and we will absolutely take it, at the very least, from a mental perspective, from a confidence perspective, because every single United fan needs that. Liverpool will really be disappointed, because obviously they should have won. And like Stevie said, all of us, I had Liverpool destroying United today. So the fact that they couldn't make it happen, and I know they'll probably get into it in a second, but, you know, it's another example of why I really think they needed a creative, strong midfielder in addition of what they already have. Szoboszlai I love him, but he was terrible today.
Yeah, there's a lot to get into, and I want to bring in Mark Ogden, who's live at Anfield. And on the back of a 7-0 thumping the last time United were there, this was a huge improvement. I'm going to let the viewers into a little bit of a secret. We didn't know when we were going to get you today, Oggy, because normally straight after the final whistle, there's loads of noise, especially if it's the home team that's won. So we have to kind of wait until things have died down so we can hear you. I think we could have come to you in the middle of that game. That's as quiet as I've heard Anfield for a Liverpool-Man United game for some time, Oggy.
Absolutely. It's usually a good 10, 15 minutes because they're all dancing around me and, you know, waving scarves and doing all that kind of thing. But no, it's empty at the moment. And I think you're right. I think the fans could have gone half an hour ago, because it wasn't a great game. LME's right. This game is always held up as the biggest and best game in English football, but it obviously always disappoints. Going back years and years, cup finals a lot. So I don't know what it is. I mean, maybe Liverpool went into this game and believed the hype a little bit because everybody was saying that Liverpool were going to win this easy. United were like 13-2 to win this game. It was such long odds to win it, and the injuries that United have got. And when I saw the team, from United's perspective, I was worried about the midfield. I was worried that Amrabat can't get around the pitch. Mainly is a good prospect, but he's young, and they were both booked in the first half, and that leads to nervousness that they're going to get exposed in the second half. But Liverpool just didn't really look like taking advantage. It was a strange game, and there was only Mo Salah that looked like he was going to do anything that could hurt United, but it never came off, and just a really strange game. But I don't want to go too hard on Liverpool because the piece I'm going to write isn't going to do that, because I think this time next week we could be talking about Liverpool being top of the league. Because it'll be a different game. It'll be a totally different game against Arsenal because styles will make for a better game, and I think we'll see Liverpool at their best next week. This was Liverpool at their bang average worst, and I think United contributed to that by the way they played.
I think United contributed to that hugely, and Stevie Nicol, without Bruno Fernandes, they had a game plan to come, to frustrate, to hit on the counter, and they stuck to it perfectly. I want to talk to you, Stevie, about just after the hour mark when a substitution was made and Cody Gakpo came on, and that moved Mohamed Salah through the middle. What did you think of what the impact Salah had through the middle was compared with when he saw a lot of the ball on the right-hand side before that?
What impact? What are you talking about?
There you go.
I mean, look, Klopp had to make substitutions, and the truth is, you couldn't turn around and said one has to come off and the other one has to stay on, because they were so blunt in everything they were doing. Towards the end, did Salah go on a couple of runs? But the truth is, by then, it was desperation. Sitting watching it, in my eyes, it was more a case of, right, let's don't do anything stupid defensively, because there were, other than the Højlund chance, there was a couple of other little breaks that United had that they had numbers up, and had they done better with the final pass or the final decision, then we might be talking about a different outcome. So, look, it was a day where Liverpool, regardless of the name in the back of the jersey, could have switched everybody around going forward, because nobody turned up. Absolutely nobody turned up. Nobody had that edge. Nobody had that little spark. Nobody had that imagination to create anything, as well as United defended and did not give Liverpool a lot of space. But when you spend that amount of time in and around the final third, you have to create something. And it wasn't there. Liverpool didn't have it going forward. United defensively, rock solid.
Luis Miguel, is Manchester United's tactics today and their performance a blueprint for other teams when they go away from home to a Liverpool, to a Man City, to an Arsenal, and maybe they know they're going to have a lot less of the ball to do what Manchester United did? Because they're not here to entertain us.
Go back inside, please.
Yeah, I think he's really mad as well that the Liverpool ended in a draw as well. No, I don't think so, MD, because I think there's teams like Arsenal, even teams like, yes, Stephen Nicol, like Aston Villa, that can probably will take advantage. Yeah, you heard it, Steve.
Luis Miguel, right? I'm not talking about Arsenal. I'm not talking about Villa. I'm talking about teams that are at the other end of the table that are not going to get much possession when they go to Anfield, when they go to the Etihad. United today frustrated them. Arsenal's not going to do that next week. Villa's not going to do that, but other teams might.
There's definitely teams at the lower league of the table that can do that, for sure. I mean, we saw what Palace did against Manchester City yesterday, and that's kind of the blueprint again of what can happen with Liverpool. Now, it's not going to say that it's not going to happen, but let's say, for example, that Iraola's Bournemouth once again picks themselves up, and keeps on going. Could they get something out of a Liverpool side that's just not hitting every time? Now, the good thing about this for Liverpool is that I do see it as an anomaly as opposed to an occurring event. I do think that they will come back. I think Augie said it earlier, like they'll come back next weekend and they'll show something else. I do see it happening, that this will hopefully be a wake-up call for Liverpool, say we cannot afford to lose this many chances. You can't take 34 shots in a single match and not come away with something. You have to make it happen. So so I'm thinking that will be a wake-up call. Having said that, there are now examples from this match where you could say listen, let's frustrate and annihilate. I'm sorry, the strengths of what Liverpool has and get something out of it. But I do think that they will turn this around for sure.
Listen,
Okay,
Mark, here's the thing.
Yeah.
There is absolutely no doubt that Bruno Fernandes being suspended for this game helped Manchester United.
Yeah.
Because every single one in a United jersey today was all about harrying, defending, closing down, chasing. Every single last one of them. That was the first thing in their head. As much as Bruno Fernandes could convince himself that he could have done that, he couldn't, and he wouldn't have done it. And so this game was absolutely, it kind of fell into the hands of the manager, to be honest, that Bruno Fernandes wasn't playing. Because if had he been available, he would have played. And it would have been to the detriment of Manchester United. I don't think there's any question that made a difference to United today.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, I want to kind of go back a little bit to go forward a little bit. After the Everton win, no crisis. After the Newcastle defeat, crisis. After the Chelsea win, no crisis. After the Bournemouth defeat, crisis. After the Liverpool draw away, no crisis. When's this kind of going to flatline a little bit for Manchester United? Because this is like a bit of a roller coaster from what we're seeing so far. So what we're going to see at West Ham next time out next Saturday?
Mark, this roller coaster has been running for 10 years now. I mean, it's not like it's not a blip. No, I mean, I think this result today, this was a win for Ten Hag in the sense that yes, he got a point, but what I mean is that this was a crisis game. It was a crisis in the sense that United were beaten by Bournemouth, they lost to Bayern Munich, West Ham away next week, and everything's mounting up against Ten Hag. You know, he's going to have new bosses soon, and he has to get a result. And I think it's a win because he's got a result with a team that was, you know, really weakened. There's some players in there put performances in today that ultimately haven't really done it all season. Diogo Dalot was red carded at the end, but I thought he played really well today. So Ten Hag has managed to get a result and a performance out of a team of players that he probably doesn't even rate. So that for me is a big moment for Ten Hag. And the thing is as well, the fact that they're out of the European picture altogether now, they're out of the Carabao Cup. So now this is his chance to show he's a coach. He's one game a week from now to the end of the season. So he's going to get them on the training pitch, he's going to get his ideas into them. And if by the end of the season he still hasn't turned it around, then he's not got any excuses. But now he's got a real clear run of 6 months where he gets his players fit, he gets them on the training ground, he sorts out January by getting rid of players he doesn't want, or some of them anyway, and trying to get maybe a couple in. So he has to build on this. I mean, in any season, even in a season when Man United win the league, a draw at Anfield is a good result. You know, you're not going to win every game. So there's certain away games where you think, if we get a draw, that's a great result. And Anfield, no matter what position you're in, is a great result. So United will feel they've won the game today, despite the fact they haven't scored again. And they haven't scored here since 2018. But still, it's a point.
What about the atmosphere around you throughout the game? We spoke about how quiet it was. At times, there was a spell in the second half where it was end to end, and it really did pick up. So there'll be frustration from Liverpool, but the United fans must be going back to Manchester pretty optimistic at what they saw today.
Yes and no. And I think at the end of the game, there wasn't a real kind of outpouring of celebration from the United fans. I think they realised that you don't come to Anfield and celebrate a backs-to-the-wall draw. You've got to be better than that. But ultimately, it was a strange atmosphere. I think the Liverpool atmosphere was great at the beginning, but I think once they realised what the United's tactics were, how Onana was time wasting all the time with his goal kicks, it frustrated the crowd. But that was United's objective. You know, they won the toss before the game and turned them round, so made Liverpool attack the Kop in the first half, which Stevie knows is what, you know, the fans hate that. So little things went United's favour today, and they played a real nasty, horrible game, you know, to get a result. And they did that. And Liverpool really should have done better. They had, you know, I think like 69% of the possession, couldn't make it count. So from United's perspective, their standards have dropped so much now that a 0-0 draw at Anfield in the way they did it is a good result. But ultimately, like I say, any season, a draw at Anfield is not a bad result.
Stevie, regardless of what the bookmakers say, right now, who do you think is best placed with those available, with the players that they have for selection, including injuries, in this title race? Arsenal remain top after their win earlier. Liverpool got the point. Aston Villa is in there. Manchester City as well. And Spurs. Whose coattails do you want to ride if you're a neutral here as far as the best potential chance to win this title?
Listen, I'm going to have to say Arsenal.
Okay.
I just think overall with all the teams that you mentioned, Arsenal are more consistent at the back, they're more consistent in the middle, and more consistent up front. Could they score more goals? Yes, but they're only a couple of goals behind City, Liverpool, everybody else. I think that just tells you that if they actually hit full steam, then they could cause teams an awful lot of trouble, a lot more of the time than they have done this Premier League season. You know, going forward, they haven't been at their clinical best, but yet, as I said, they're only a couple of goals off top scorers in the league. So I think right now the more complete team is Arsenal.
That's interesting that a former Liverpool player and a huge Liverpool fan wouldn't say Liverpool. So what is Liverpool missing right now? What might they need in January?
Well, today shows you we were just been talking about the game, and we actually said that Manchester United could have won the game because they had the best chance. And I think that's been Liverpool's problem all season. They give up too many opportunities. They really do. And along with City, you can't rely on them particularly, certainly not 100% at the back. And the one team I think you can rely on defensively because of, not just because of, but particularly because of Saliba. That's why I think Arsenal just edge ahead of Liverpool. I don't think there's much in it with the rest of them. I don't think Villa's got the squad to compete to the end of the season, as great as they've been doing. And if something happens to Ollie Watkins, you know, I don't know where they turn. So that's why I'm going for Arsenal, and it's all about that back line and that defence. And so that's why I think just right now I would edge them above anybody else.
Okay, one more question for you, because I know you've got to go to the press conference. We're expecting a different game next week between Liverpool and Arsenal. We're expecting the game that we thought we were getting today. What do you think Jurgen Klopp needs to work on in these next 6 or 7 days before they play against Arsenal? And that could be a big one. Augie needs to unmute because of the noise behind. See if we can work this out.
Yeah. So that was Anfield all day. It was very quiet. No, I think next week's different because Liverpool are playing against a team that will attack them. It was a completely different game today. So I don't know what Klopp has to work on in that sense. I think it will come naturally next week. I mean, obviously it'd be better if McAllister's fit again next week because they missed him in midfield. But I mean, Stevie's going for Arsenal. I think that if Liverpool win that game next week, they're the favourites to win the title because that will be a massive win against a big title rival. You know, they're at home. City are away and struggling right now a little bit. So I think Liverpool can be the title favourites, but they have to beat Arsenal next week because that game next week has the potential to kind of dictate how the title race goes for the next 6 months. This game today didn't have that element to it. It was a horrible game, but next week's different altogether. It's got fireworks all over it, and I think Liverpool win that game, and it's a real test of Arsenal as well. How Arsenal can go to a big rival away from home and keep it tight. I'm not convinced they can. So I think Liverpool are 51% title favourites.
And are you playing Darwin Núñez? Or are you playing Cody Gakpo against Arsenal through the middle?
I'm playing Darwin Núñez. I know he misses chance, but I just think he is lively. He does make things happen, and he's one of those players that you have to put up with his limitations because he is 100% effort, commitment, and he does make things happen. He unsettles defenders, but sometimes he unsettles his teammates with his finishing.
Okay, thank you. And full reaction from Mark Ogden, both written and from the press conference on ESPNFC.com. So thanks to Augie. So LME, Stevie Nicol is going for Arsenal right now. Not who he likes the best, but this is who he thinks are in the best position to win the title. Augie's got Liverpool at 51%. You are a Villa fan. Spurs are in there. No one's even spoken about Manchester City, and they've got De Bruyne to come back, and Haaland will be back in a week or two. So what do you say about between now and the end of the season?
Yeah, this is a really good question because what you just said at the end there, specifically with Manchester City, it needs a lot of context here. Because number one, there is going to be a moment when certain players for certain teams are coming back. Manchester City cannot be ignored in this title race, okay? They have 34 points. That's only 5 points away from top. We have seen this before. We have been here before. They, yes, have been in trouble. They've only won one league game in the last month. That was against Luton, right? But there's a lot of football in the Premier League yet to be played. However, I'm with Stevie here. At this very moment, the favorite to me is Arsenal as well, because they look like the more complete package day in and day out. Are they perfect? No, of course not. Have we seen them drop points where they probably shouldn't have? Yes, we have. But I think overall, under Mikel Arteta, this season, they know better who they are than any other time. The only thing, and I think I said it to you a few weeks ago, Andy, is that in January, I think it's very crucial for them to look at another striker, because I think that it's going to be very important to see how much you can rely, especially if you're still in the Champions League and you're still continuing to try and chase other trophies that are not the Premier League. You're going to need. Now, Gabriel Jesus was great today. He scored today. Of course, that was very important for them. But can you rely on Gabriel Jesus and Eddie Nketiah all the way to the end? I'm not so sure. So they need to just add some pieces in January. If that's a striker, great. We hear that Victor Osimhen is going nowhere at Napoli. So is Ivan Toney going to be the price target? We'll have to wait and see. After that, I think Liverpool are up there. The next weekend's going to be up. And mathematically speaking, I don't care what anybody says. Aston Villa is in this title race right now. 38 points, the same as Liverpool. 1 point of Arsenal up top. Yes, things can go wrong in the next few months, but right now, you cannot say that that's not happening. And yes, the squad is definitely missing some pieces. Tyrone Mings is not there yet. Emiliano Buendia is not there yet. Alex Moreno has just returned from injury. This is a very good team, but I do share Stevie's issue. If Ollie Watkins goes off injured, I'm not completely relying myself on the Colombian Jonhada Duran. So there's still a lot to play. But Arsenal, to me, remain the favourites to win this Premier League title.
Okay, final question to Stevie Nicol. It's the same final question I asked to Mark Ogden. It's going to be a very different game next week, Liverpool against Arsenal. Who are you starting through the middle up front, Stevie, next week?
Nunez. Absolutely, yeah. Diaz one side, Mo on the other side, and Nunez through the middle. Yeah, you don't want to play against Nunez. We know the issues that he has with his finishing right now, but you don't want to play against him. And I think he needs a run of games, and he needs the complete confidence of his manager and his team. So yeah, that would be my front three with Nunez as number 9.
Liverpool 0, Manchester United 0. Times that this game will be mentioned come the end of the season? 0. Bye for now.